Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Smarter Campus podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to have Muskaan Shahzad as our guest. Muskaan is a senior in Bachelor's in Applied Technology program in AI and Robotics at Houston Community College, set to graduate spring 2025. As part of a program's inaugural cohort, she's actually going to be the first person to graduate with an AI degree from a community college. So, pretty lucky to have her here today. She's also the president of Computer Science Association at HCC, a recipient of the JP Morgan Scholarship and country award winner for Intel's AI Impact Global Festival in 2023. Muskan, thank you so much for being here. If you want to kind of just tell people listening a little bit more about yourself, and then we can get into some questions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Zach, for having me here. First of all, so excited to be on the Boodle AI Campus Leadership Council and to be here and share my experiences. So you've pretty much summed up for me. So yeah, I do have like an associate's in psychology as well, and now I'm pursuing a bachelor's in AI. And I like to tell everybody that at first in psychology, I was learning about the minds of humans, and now in AI, I'm learning about the minds of computers that humans have helped develop. And it's very interesting for me because in psychology, you literally learn how your childhood shapes your adulthood life
Yeah.
and how basically every habit you're gonna have, how you're gonna showcase different emotions and stuff is set up at like age 6 or 7 in your childhood, and that's exactly how we train our AI models here as well. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. I'm graduating this semester, so I'm very, very excited about it. Interviewing with companies and stuff, student clubs, it's
Yeah.
collaborating with people, learning new stuff. So that's all about me. Very enthusiastic about AI.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing to hear. We're lucky to have you on the Boodle Leadership Council. To kind of get into it, I'm curious, like, what got you interested in artificial intelligence?
So I was doing psychology, and I was already 2 years in, but I learned that I have to pursue like a whole master's and a whole PhD to be able to land like a sustainable job. And I was like, okay, I do love psychology, but I am not dedicating that much of my time there. So I started to look for other options. I was very open to change even the field that I was in. Like I was in healthcare. I did pursue some pre-med stuff as well. Then I did psychology, and technology was something that I was never near of. Like I had like cousins pursuing it, most of them male cousins. This is like back in 2010, and they were always like, "Oh, it's so difficult. It's so hard. I mean, they don't even bother," stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when it was time for me to change my major, and then I shifted to the States as well, I went on to Houston Community College's website, and I was just looking through stuff. A friend recommended me to go for a Cisco certification to just get a taste of what technology looks like, and if I really like it, then I can pursue a whole degree in it. And I was going through Houston Community College's website and the courses that they offer, and it was organized alphabetically. So the first thing that I see is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And it was just like right place at the very right time. And I'm like, "Oh, this is really interesting." And they had like a picture of a human hand connecting with a robotic hand,
Yeah.
giving the whole idea of what it is. I open the degree plan. I see courses like machine learning, data science, and this is my very first time of hearing these terms like deep
Yeah.
learning, neural networks. I knew neural networks because this is something that we studied in psychology. It's very similar to the human brain. And I then talked to my boss about it, and it's like so weird because you talk to like so many different people about stuff, and you never know what someone might say that like sticks with you. And now, like for example, now I'm here, but I talked to my boss. He had a friend who was pursuing something with AI in Dallas, Texas. So he said, okay, I can arrange a quick phone call for you. And I talked to that person. This is like 4 years ago, and he was like, yeah, AI is, this is 2021, and he's like, AI is like the next big thing, like go for it if you're really interested. And then I completely decided to ditch this Cisco certificate, and I was like, you know what, let me pursue an associate's in it. Let me take all these machine learning stuff courses and stuff like that, and if I really like it, I'll just go to a 4 year. At the time, Houston Community College did not offer a bachelor's. So that's another interesting turn of events. So
Yeah.
I was like, yo, so yeah, let me do associates and we'll go from there. And at the time, my advisor warned me, he's like, this is a very new field. You might not be able to transfer your credits to a 4 year institute. Do you still feel like you're going to pursue it because you're coming out of psychology, which is like a whole another thing? And I was like, you know what, I'll do it because I was so curious about it. And honestly, like 4 year me, the future me is like so thankful that I did make that decision in the moment because it's been very fruitful to be honest. But I decided to pursue it. I did my associates, learned about machine learning. I Machine learning is one of my passions, supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Every question that I had when it came to technology, most of them were answered in that class, and my professor was amazing.
Yeah.
So it was really nice. And another thing to be at the right place at the right time, as soon as I wrapped up my associates, they opened up the bachelor's program. They introduced it. So I was seamlessly able to transfer to the bachelor's and be part of the first cohort to graduate with a bachelor's this upcoming spring.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty crazy story, right? Like you said, right place, right time, like three different times. So, I mean, being a part of that first cohort's kind of such an honor. It's super cool. How do you think like that's shaped your experience? Like, do you think you've had a part? Do you think you've played a part in how that like coursework and stuff is being applied at HCC?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were the first cohort, so sometime, like, luckily, anytime any opportunity came, we were the first people that would be told about it by our staff, by deans, by professors, and it was amazing. I mean, there's this competition that Intel does every year, and I remember the people who were my seniors in the associate program, but the bachelor's wasn't there at the time. They won the global award for that in 2022. And like, mind you, this is a community college, and people from here are winning a global award. Like, people for Japan, Korea, India were participating, and they won the global award. So that was very inspiring. Next year, me and two other of my classmates were like, you know what, let's do it. Like, what's the worst that can came out of it?
Yeah.
We did not win the global thing, but we did win territorial country award for USA. So we were the first in the whole country. That was amazing. So, and it was a very great idea. It was called MedIntel ATM, which was a automated triage machine, basically a system set up in emergency situations where people can go and it can prioritize who needs assistance first, given that someone might be in ER for a simple headache, someone might be having symptoms of a heart attack. So that machine would be able to predict who needs to be prioritized first. And another thing was that we were planning for it to have data of every person who's ever used it. So you don't, when you go to a new ER setting, you're in pain and they're like, oh yeah, fill out all these forms and we'll be with you shortly. So we wanted
Yeah.
to avoid that part and it was like, okay, just go there, put in your details, maybe have like a medical ID for each and every person who's ever used that machine. And instantly when you put in your record or your first last name, date of birth, it's gonna recognize you and all of your details would be there for the doctor to see. And you don't have to manually put in anything. They really like the idea. We're still working about it. We did not have a prototype at the time, but we did know what we had to use. But it's expensive and we're students.
Yeah.
So we we did that. We won the award. And this annual AI conference thing started. This would be our fourth year, and this would be the biggest one yet because usually we do like 2 day event. This would be 3 day event, and we're doing it in collaboration with two other schools who are pushing AI as a bachelor's and like as a major in their community colleges as well. And we have like sponsor. We have Boodle Box,
Yeah.
amazing. We have Nvidia, we have Microsoft, Google, and these are big names. And
Yeah.
to think that they're willing to work with community colleges to see what new talent is and how people are using AI, leveraging AI, and are excited about AI, what they think about AI, to just know that they're really interested in it and be at the forefront of it to organize something that massive, being part of the president, the student club, which is one of the sponsors of this event as well. It's great, and you learn different perspectives from different people belonging to different backgrounds, different roles, different companies. different thinking processes, and you realize how two people can look at the same thing in a very different manner. So as part of the first cohort, I'm very grateful because I had so much exposure. I was able to visit Puerto Rico as well with two of my classmates, and we had like different schools from there, from New York, California, Texas. We had two schools from Texas, Colombia as well. And people were sharing their projects there, giving presentations. And mind you, this is the first time we're meeting these people, and they're sharing the projects that they've worked on. That's amazing in itself. And I mean, if you just go to regular school, that's what I've heard from my friends, that you go to a foreign institute, you take your classes, you take your exams, and you get your degree. But in my case, it was very different because I was able to meet with professionals was while I was a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior now. And it's been great to just learn about stuff. Like learning is the key when it comes to anything, in my opinion.
You speak on something that I think is really interesting about AI right now. Community colleges inherently focus on like being prepared immediately for the workforce, right? And kind of what you mentioned earlier is that 4 year degrees at big schools, you go, you take your tests, you graduate, and you're done, right? I think, and I'd love your opinion on this. Do you think community colleges are slowly going to become, I don't know, better? Is that a wrong word? Maybe better than like big 4 year institutes? And I think you're kind of like leading that, right?
Yeah, it is really interesting. That's an amazing question because recently what happened, I was approached by a reporter who was reporting for Houston Landing, and they did like an article on me being the first part of the first cohort. And they did another article, and they had opinions from different people where our school was thinking of changing its name from a community college to putting the term university in it, because we're offering a bachelor's degree in two programs. It's artificial intelligence and robotics and healthcare management. And they were like, what's your opinion as a student? Because Houston Community College has been around for ages. My boss literally went to this school when he was a
Yeah.
student. And it's been around for so long, and to change the name, because it's a big step for a community college to offer a whole year, I mean, a whole bachelor's degree, which is recognized everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was pretty divided on the topic too, because I was like, okay, there's one thing that we're trying to push out this narrative that, okay, community college, it's not a bad thing. You can
Yeah.
go to community college, and it is okay. But then again, I mean, you can start fighting stereotypes, but it's going to take generations for them to be slightly removed. It's never going to go away completely. And that's just the reality of the situation. So I was pretty divided. I was like, one way we're fighting for this thing to be over, the stigma around it, and then the other we want to change the name too, keeping in mind the reality of things. And most of the students were like, let's keep it community college. Let's stand on what we offer as we are. And but yeah, you really brought a great point, because community colleges are really pushing on this
Yeah.
AI. It's literally the next big thing. I mean, big companies are advancing AI every single day. We have like Sora come out of OpenAI, which is like a video that you
Yeah.
can generate.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it only gets bigger. I mean, since 2021 or 2022, since ChatGPT came out, there hasn't been a stagnant thing in AI or its discoveries. Every day is a new day, and every day recently I learned somewhere that there's this machine which can I mean, it has all these receptors and stuff, but you can describe it as smell, and it'll be able to, something with the smell, like you could be able to smell it, something like that.
Did you see
And
the Have you seen that new thing they just came out? I think it was Harvard that did it. It's like sound effects. So you can upload a video and then you can make like, say a car drives by, you're like, vroom, and it'll make it sound super real. And it came out like
really,
2 days ago. It's unreal. Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
it
It's
is amazing, and it's fast, it's reliable. I mean, when it comes to reliable, there's different opinions. I mean, but
yeah.
there should be a check and balance in that. But it's very, I would say it's very encouraging, because you can learn so much from it. I mean, we used to read Google scholarly articles whenever we had to write a project or something, and now you can just go to ChatGPT, tell it to give you some articles, like accurate
Yeah.
articles on whatever topic you're doing your research on, and there you have it. You don't, I mean, the time that you will utilize to on the internet, that's decreased massively.
Yeah. I mean, okay, one thing you just talked about is like checks and balances, right? So, I mean, I know one thing that probably was talked about in your AI degree is like responsible AI practices, right?
Mhm.
So why, and I know it's something you talk about often. So, like, why do you say that's important to you, and what does that look like?
So when it comes to a regular man, people are afraid because people are like, oh, it's gonna automate everything, and people who are working in factories and stuff, because not everybody has a degree or something. Some people just do trade for a
Yeah,
living, and if it's being replaced by AI, then where do they go? What place do they have in society now? Now a CEO of a big company would come out and say, "Oh yeah, they'll help maintain those AI," but that's just not true. These are old people we're talking about, but um, I would say whenever I talk about AI and stuff and the future of AI, I always say that it's not about uh, machines taking over people's job. It's how greedy a company can get when it comes to AI, because this is big potential and you can literally do anything with it. But if they don't have the best interest of people at heart, then we're doomed. Then we have to
yeah,
worry about future. But that's why as people we do need to push for technology, and there's like this famous quote from Spider-Man with bigger what is it again? It's with great power comes great responsibility,
yes,
which is literally AI. But we have to keep check and balance as people, and we have to be very, because whenever any company introduces something, we have to make sure that it's done in the right manner.
yep,
And for all of these discoveries or these innovations, the oil is the data. And where do data comes from? The people. And who are the people? We are the people.
yep,
So we have to make sure that I mean, consent is fine. I actually had a really different opinion. I was listening to this one talk. We had this person talk at one of our events at the school, and he said that privacy is a very recent thing. You guys shouldn't be worrying about that as much as you're worrying about it. And some people are like, huh? Like, why would you
yeah,
say
yeah,
that? Like,
yeah,
but he did acknowledge that people like get mad at me for saying this, but I would stick by it that it's a very recent thing. People did not have privacy in 1980s, and he said like 1980s wasn't that long ago. And it's a very recent term, and now people are like, my privacy, my privacy. But the big companies are doing it whether you like it or not. So
yeah,
the only thing we can push for is audits. We have to make sure it's done the right way. It's not
yeah,
done in a malicious way.
yeah.
And we have to make sure there's a right check and balance for it. And we have to push it. As normal people right now in this age of AIs, I think so our bigger responsibility is to make sure that everything's done in the right way, which we don't have the power for most of the part, because who's coming to us to ask for stuff? But we have platforms like social media and stuff,
So we're
and
doing right here.
yeah, whatever power we have, whatever weapons we have to weaponize them the right way.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And like, what do you think the future of that looks like? Like, do you think people are going to do it the right way?
See, that's when the human nature comes in when we're talking about psychology, because it really depends on your morals at the end of the day, how you're utilizing it. It's not about big companies. I know normal people that can be malicious as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
you have to be very careful when it comes to AI stuff. Make sure that whoever you're sharing anything with, it's done the proper way. You have control over it. Never give control over an entire project, over an entire thing to another person. I mean, there should be trust within colleagues and stuff, but always make sure that you have power over anything that you're working on, and just make sure it's you have to be very aware of everything. You have to be book smart, but you have to be street smart when it comes to this stuff. You have to be very aware how it's being utilized, and the future of it honestly it's gonna get, I mean, it's gonna get very technical. There's gonna be big innovations. Some things might go out of date. But all I can hope for is that it's for the betterment of people, and we elevate humanity as fast as we're elevating technology as well.
Okay, so I got two more questions, then we got to kind of hop off. Who do you think's going to win? It's a big question. All the big guys like Gemini, Google, Facebook, you know.
Um, I I would say OpenAI because they're the forerunners and they're the ones who came up with ChatGPT. Too much information might not be publicly available, but I think so they're keeping up with whatever they've created. It's not, Meta, it became stagnant for a while and then social media apps like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok took over and people were barely using Facebook. But when it comes to generative AI, I think so OpenAI is very up to date with it. Information might not be available publicly, whatever they're doing, but like for example, they were the first ones to come up with a chat bot who could literally give you information, and over time they only made it more accurate. So people can use it for academic stuff as well. Previously, when it first came out, you have to check whether the information was right or not. But now it's up to date, it's academic, it's validated, and they came up with Sora, which is amazing. You can just define a scene like a rainbow in the middle of a desert, and there you have it.
So
The-
crazy.
yeah, it'll
Sora's
give
like
it to you.
unbelievable.
Yeah, so my money is on OpenAI, but uh,
Yeah.
but I would say big companies are competing hard.
I think if it goes bad, right? You know what I mean? Like if someone does something wrong, it's purely going to be because of the fact that like they have to do that to win, right?
Yeah.
You know, like
And there's this interesting point of view that someone in one of my classes brought up, and he said that I feel like all of these companies are collaborating together. The competition is just for the public.
you
And
think
they're,
so?
yeah, and I was like, that's a really interesting take because I could see how that could happen in a very political way. They're like, oh, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, but like in the eye of the public, we're competent. I mean, we're competitors, but we help each other behind doors too. So I don't know what the reality of the situation is, but I think so OpenAI is very great until now in leading AI and its innovations.
Okay. Okay, I actually have two more questions. So what's some advice for someone, just starting school in a community college, not a community college, that's interested in AI? Like what advice do you have for them?
As a senior, I always push for it, and you're literally the sixth person who's asked me this in the last 2 months. That what would you recommend? I
Yeah.
would definitely say do your coursework, complete your courses, go for that A in your courses, but always have a personal portfolio, a passion project on the side.
Yeah.
Because I did a couple of interviews and they're like, okay, what have you worked on? Okay, I know you're pursuing this degree, but what have you worked on? And that they ask that question because when you're applying for jobs, they want you to be practical. They want to know that you have the skill set that you're looking for, and you can only prove that skill set that you have if you have worked on something that has already utilized that skill set. So make a GitHub. Like people have LinkedIn, and it's great. GitHub is another amazing tool when it comes to technical fields. Upload your projects, you can literally like copy a project and do your own little twist to it, and it'll be your own project. So have something on the side, a personal portfolio. So whenever somebody asks you, okay, yeah, you're claiming that you've done this, this, and this, how can you prove it? Or what have you worked on? You can literally pull it out. Like, yeah, this is my GitHub. This is all the stuff that I've worked on. So keep working something on the side too. And you never know. There's this robotics club that we have in Houston, and people from multiple schools come there on Saturdays, and they just help each other out. Somebody's working on Jetson Nanos, Arduino, and if you're a beginner, they're very welcoming, very friendly community. If you're a beginner, everybody's willing to help you out. So there's so many resources, YouTube. Just make sure or maybe try like a different software. Like for example, this semester I learned Blender, which is like a computer simulation animation kind of tool, and you can literally do so much with it, but it takes time for you to learn it. But it was great. You can do 3D animation in it, and the tools are great. Just make sure you give time, you're passionate about it. I mean, we can only do so much. I mean, we can only do our best, and that's literally the only thing that matters. So just try to do your best. And things will happen for you. I'm a great example for that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great advice, right? Just do it, right? Nike said it first. Just do it. But last question. I ask this to every single person. What's your favorite use case of artificial intelligence outside of school? Like I use it for cooking all the time. I've had people say they use it for gifts. It's just like a funny way that you use it. I
Like
would say
planning
it.
a birthday party and stuff too. I actually recently used it so I'm going to this trip to Chicago and I told it the kind of food that I liked, the places that I like I like the beach, I want to be at amusement, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, give me these restaurants with how much the price would be and like a total breakdown of the cost that I'll be spending there. And it's gonna be 5 day trip. So give me like a day to day what places are nearby that I can cover and visit in one day. And it gave me like an itinerary for the whole 5 days of my trip. Literally, I just have to put in a prompt and I had it like in a couple seconds. So that's great. Recently for my mom, I wanted to like come up. I was like, okay, let me see if it can give me a recipe of a Mediterranean dish or like a Pakistani dish. And I was like, okay, let me see if it can do it in our native language instead of English. And it did it. And it was very accurate. And it was very like actual Urdu language. I was very impressed by it. So I was
What
like,
tool did you use for that?
sorry, what?
What
Chat
tool did you?
GPT.
Yeah. That's the translation thing's really cool. That's one thing that like Boodlebox I figured out does really well, weirdly. But Muskan, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We're gonna have to do this again and we can dive into more of the technical stuff, but I think it was great for everyone listening to kind of just get to know you. So everyone listening, thank you for being here. I'll see you again next week. And Muskan is a leader in the field. I'm sure I'll have her contact information within the video comments and yeah. Thank you guys all for watching.